Empty dreams, ran from your call and turn back again. There's no other treasure on earth that amounts to your love, and I know, even if everything I know. Hi everyone. Hello. Hello. Thanks for joining today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Right. So whether you're joining again on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, thank you so much for joining. And I am excited that you're here with me today. Today, we're going to be looking at core beliefs, what core beliefs are, and how they affect us as individuals in different areas of our lives. But first, let me briefly explain to you what that means. Core beliefs are a person's most central idea about themselves, their idea about others and the world. That's what core beliefs are. They are these deeply buried assumptions that we hold to be true. And another way to describe core beliefs are, in the mind, well, in our computers, our laptops, there's what we call the operating system, right? So that invisible operating system of your mind is your core belief. So if you think of them like the lens in your glasses, for example, now, if you wear rose colored glasses, everything might look very nice and pleasant to you. But if you have lens that are cracked, you've got lens that are dirty, then you may have a harsh or distorted vision. Even though the things around you may not be distorted or harsh, but that's because the lens that you're wearing and you're seeing through are harsh. So if you can think of lens you've noticed in yourself or someone else around you, what kind of lens do you think you're wearing that tells you things about how you relate and respond to things? So maybe let's think about trust. What do you think about trusting people? Is that something that easily comes to you? Do you find it easy to trust people? What do you think about failure? Do you have fear of failure, or what's your attitude? Do you consider yourself as a failure, or do you see experiences of life as an experience that you experience failure? That doesn't mean that you are. And success, right? What do you think of success? So, how you think, your perception of things is what your core beliefs drive. Your emotions are oftentimes the responses that we have that helps us to interpret events. And that interpretation is driven by your core beliefs, right? Does that make sense? Your interpretation to events is what is driven by your core beliefs. So I'll give you an example. If your core belief is negative, if you feel that you're not good enough, when an event happens, the way you respond, right, will show that your core belief has driven that, because your core belief is you're not good enough. So if you've been passed over for a promotion, for example, rather than just feeling disappointed, which is a natural response, an okay response, you may feel crushed. You know, you may feel that, ugh, I have just been passed over because I'm not good enough. But if you have a core belief that is healthy, positive, you've been passed over for a promotion, your response would be something like, I'm still learning. I'm learning. Um, I'll take it as a growth opportunity instead. So rather than feeling crushed and feeling like you're not good enough, you take it as an opportunity to learn. Now, another situation that can surprise you. So maybe I should even ask a question. What's a situation where your emotions have surprised you? You've reacted in such a way that even you have been taken by surprise. If you can, think about a situation where you have been taken by surprise, what's that situation? What belief do you think is driving that reaction? Another core belief response is that it shapes your thought patterns. What you believe about yourself would shape on how you think. Now, core beliefs helps you to create mental shortcut patterns. For example, your thought process may say something in the line of, I always mess things up, or people can't be trusted. What tells you that people can't be trusted is your thoughts, the core beliefs. And your core belief has created a loop that looks quite automatic, like it just happens. And you tell people, you advise people from the lens that you see the world. So, another example could be that you think that you must be perfect to be loved. Even when you make small mistakes, those small mistakes that you make will trigger a very strong, harsh response, a harsh self talk. So you've made a mistake, and rather than acknowledging that, oh, it's a mistake, how can I move on? Your self talk is, I'm such a failure. You think of yourself as a failure. I would like you at this stage, if you can, take a notebook and write down a recurring thought that you've had under stress. What are those thoughts that you have when you encounter stressful situations? Those thoughts could be tied to a deeper core belief that is driving you. It will help you to recognize. So it's important that we recognize what those core negative beliefs are, because it affects your thoughts. It also dictates how you behave. Your core beliefs that you have will determine what you believe about yourself and others drives how you act, even when it's unconscious. So you don't normally just think, oh, I'm going to say this, I'm going to do this. It happens automatically, right? So I want you to ask yourself another question. Have you ever avoided something because of a belief that you've held, even if it wasn't true? What are those things that you've avoided? Those opportunities you've avoided because you feel that, one, you're not good enough, you're not worthy of attention, you know, what are those missed opportunities or even relationships that you've avoided because you have thoughts about yourself that are not necessarily true? Core belief also impacts self perception, right? Your identity, what you think you are capable of, and how lovable you are or what you deserve. These are rooted in your core beliefs as well. So if you see yourself as a survivor, you'll approach challenges differently than if you see yourself as a burden. Is that true? I think it's true. Because if you feel that you are a burden, then there's a way you will present yourself. There's a way that you would try and hide behind situations and circumstances that may be happening to you. I would want you to think about a word or a phrase that you often use to describe yourself. Where might that belief come from? You know, what are the thoughts and phrase that you have? Where does it come from? You may also find that core beliefs guide interactions with other people. And they do. I'll give you an example. There was a time when I used to feel that I didn't have anything to share with people because of how I thought about myself. But it changed the moment I realized that even if it's one person who I share with, who I've been able to add value to, that one person will go on to add value to somebody else's life. So it becomes a knock-on effect. It's like a pack, right? It has a domino effect because I've shared my insights, I've shared my understanding with the people around me. They go on as well to share with others. And that's important. So my self-talk changed. I believe I have value. I believe that I can help people. I believe that I am worthy. And it helps me to share with a level of confidence. Now, if your belief is that you think that people can be trusted, you expect to be rejected, you have assumptions that, everything I do is on a negotiation basis, that I give and people have to receive. If I don't give, people want to give to me. That's the place that I also react and respond to other people. How you see others, whether you trust them, whether you expect rejection, it flows from these beliefs. Now, if your core belief is that people just want to use you, you would approach relationships defensively, possibly pushing away people who have good and kind intentions towards you. And that's a fact. And that's one of the reasons why we need to change our core beliefs, especially if they are negative. Not everybody wants to use people. Yes, there may have been people in the past who have, had bad intentions, and we've had negative adverse childhood experiences, or even as adults. But that does not mean that the general populace want to use people. Okay. Now, I want you to also think about this quickly, if you may. What kind of people do you attract? What might your beliefs be signaling to them? Hold that thought. Think about it. What kind of people do you attract? Do you find that the people generally around you are people that want to use you, take advantage of you? Are those the kind of people that you attract? People that want to take advantage of you? What kind of people or do you have people around you who just want you to succeed, who want to bless you, who want to, to guide you, who want to support or help you? Cool stuff. Your core beliefs can enable change. And I think that's important that we understand that. So we may have negative core beliefs, but when you have good ones, when you have healthy core beliefs, they can enable positive change. The good news is that core beliefs are not facts. They can be examined and they can be changed. They're not necessarily the true, they're not necessarily the truth about you. Remember the lens? If you're wearing dirty lens and you're seeing things dirty and gloomy, take them off, clean them. You can do something about negative core beliefs. They don't have to define who you are. Changing your script, your internal script, from I'm not creative to I'm still learning how to express creativity. This change in how you express yourself opens up new behaviors like, you know, sharing ideas. All right. Psychologically, or the way the cognition works is this: our experience of life shapes our thoughts, right? Because what you see, what you feel, what you hear goes into our mind, and that is what we think about. That's how we process information. That becomes the lens. And what you think of shows up in how you behave. And that's why it's important to identify the core beliefs. Your experiences goes into your mind, shapes what you think about, and you behave based on what you think. So if you feel you're not good enough or you're not smart enough in the workspace, you will hold back from sharing information because you're going to be thinking, whatever I say is not going to be as good as Mr. X, Mrs. Y, right? And if you don't share in the workspace, how will people know that you're skilled? How would they know that you can do, right? So your behavior is guided by what you think. But if you begin to change how you think from I am not good enough to I am good, I can become better, I am getting better, actually, I am the best at what I'm doing, you would show up that way, right? So your relationship with yourself is where we start to improve on, because when you improve on your internal scripts and you improve on yourself, then it spills into relationship with other people. Okay, what belief, yeah, what's a belief that you used to have? Please, I'd like you to share with me the belief that you used to have about yourself that you no longer believe. How did that shift happen? When you share, not just with me, others would also learn. Now, the final core belief um, impact will be authenticity. When you uncover and align your beliefs with truth and not fear, guess what? You begin to live even more authentically. If you stop believing that I have to please everyone to be loved, you start to say no, you start to set boundaries, and guess what? You start to show up for yourself. And that's the real, authentic you. You have to stop believing that you want to or have to please everybody to be loved, because that's literally impossible. You can't please everybody, because when you do try to please everybody, guess what you're doing? You're displeasing yourself and putting yourself on the back burner. So I would say start today. Stop saying no. I mean, not stop, start saying no when you need to. Learn what your values are, set boundaries, healthy boundaries, and enforce your boundaries and show up as yourself. Authenticity isn't about being perfect at all. Nope. Authenticity is about being real. And that starts with knowing what you believe and why. So, core beliefs will help you to know what you believe in. So if any of your self belief is negative, sit down with yourself, spend time, invest this time with yourself, write down what do you truly think about yourself, what do you truly believe about yourself, and then begin to change the narrative. Begin to work on your self talk and begin to change that narrative. What's one belief you'd like to examine more closely after today? What one belief would you like to examine more closely? And what small action can you take to challenge it? I'll encourage you to journal, share, or quietly reflect. Okay? Because it will help you to begin to see things differently. All right, till I come your way again next week, Thursday, I look forward to hearing some of the changes that you begin to make within yourself, for yourself, by yourself. Stay blessed.